നമസ്കാരം, ഞാൻ ജിമോൻ. ഇന്ന് നമ്മളിവിടെ കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്യുന്ന വിഷയം വിനിമയ അപഗ്രഥനത്തിൽ അഥവാ ട്രാൻസാക്ഷണൽ അനാലിസിസിലെ നെടുംതൂണായ ടോപ്പിക് ദ സ്ക്രിപ്റ്റ് എന്ന വിഷയത്തെക്കുറിച്ചാണ്. ദ സ്ക്രിപ്റ്റ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മനുഷ്യ ജീവിതത്തിൻ്റെ തിരക്കഥ. തിരക്കഥ എന്ന് കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ മനസ്സിലേക്ക് ഓടി വരിക സിനിമയും നാടകവും ഒക്കെയാണ്. എല്ലാ സിനിമയും നാടകവും തുടങ്ങുന്നത് ഒരു പ്ലോട്ടിൽ നിന്നാണ്, ഒരു ത്രെഡിൽ നിന്നാണ്. അതായത് ആദ്യത്തെ ഒരു സ്റ്റോറി ലൈൻ. ഇനി ഇത് ഒരു സിനിമയോ നാടകമോ ആയി രൂപാന്തരപ്പെടണമെങ്കിൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും തിരക്കഥ വേണം. തിരക്കഥ മാത്രം മതിയോ? അല്ല, അതിന് പറ്റിയ അഭിനേതാക്കൾ വേണം, ഹീറോ വേണം, ഹീറോയിൻ വേണം, ആക്ഷൻ വേണം, ഭാഷ, സംഭാഷണം, ഡയലോഗ്, മോണോലോഗ്, വ്യത്യസ്ത സീനുകൾ, ഇവയെല്ലാം അടങ്ങുന്നതാണ് ഒരു സിനിമയോ നാടകമോ ആയി മാറുന്നത്. എല്ലാ തിരക്കഥകൾക്കും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എല്ലാ സിനിമയ്ക്കും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എല്ലാ നാടകത്തിനും ഒരു തുടക്കമുണ്ട്, ഒരു മധ്യഭാഗമുണ്ട്, ഒരു അവസാനമുണ്ട്. ശ്രദ്ധയോടെ വീക്ഷിച്ചാൽ നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാകും, ഒട്ടുമിക്ക നാടകങ്ങളുടെയും സിനിമകളുടെയും തിരക്കഥ രൂപപ്പെടുന്നത് മനുഷ്യ ജീവിതത്തെ ആസ്പദമാക്കി അന്തർജ്ഞാനേന ഉരുത്തിരിഞ്ഞു വരുന്നവയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാകും ഓരോ വ്യക്തിയുടെ ജീവിതത്തിനും ഒരു തിരക്കഥയുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളത്. ഇത് രണ്ടിനും സമാനതകളുണ്ട്, ബന്ധമുണ്ട്. എല്ലാ തിരക്കഥകളും തുടങ്ങുന്നത് ഒരു ത്രെഡിൽ നിന്നാണ് എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു. മനുഷ്യ ജീവിതത്തിൻ്റെ തിരക്കഥയും തുടങ്ങുന്നത് ഒരു ത്രെഡിൽ നിന്നാണ്. ഈ ത്രെഡിനെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ സ്റ്റോറി ലൈനെ ഡോക്ടർ ബേൺ വിശേഷിപ്പിച്ചത് പ്രോട്ടോകോൾ എന്നാണ്. പ്രോട്ടോകോളിന് അദ്ദേഹം കൊടുത്ത നിർവചനം, ദ ഹൗസ് ഹോൾഡ് ഡ്രാമ വിച്ച് ഇസ് ഫസ്റ്റ് പ്ലേഡ് ഔട്ട് ടു ആൻ അൺസാറ്റിസ്ഫാക്ടറി കൺക്ലൂഷൻ ഇൻ ദ ഏർലിയസ്റ്റ് ഇയേഴ്സ് ഓഫ് ലൈഫ്. That is called the protocol. This is classically an archaic version of the Oedipus drama and is repressed in later years. Its precipitates reappear as script proper, which is a preconscious derivative of the protocol. Oedipus was a mythical Greek king of Thebes, a tragic hero in Greek mythology. ഗ്രീക്ക് പുരാണത്തിലെ ദാരുണ നായകൻ ആണ് ഓഡിപ്പസ്. ഓഡിപ്പസ് represents two enduring themes of Greek myth and drama. One, the flawed nature of humanity, മനുഷ്യരാശിയുടെ തെറ്റായ വികലമായ സ്വഭാവം. And two, an individual's role in the course of destiny in a harsh universe. കഠിനമായ പ്രപഞ്ചത്തിൽ വിധിയുടെ ഗതിയിൽ ഒരു വ്യക്തിയുടെ പങ്ക്. ട്രാൻസാക്ഷണൽ അനാലിസിസ് വിനിമയ അപഗ്രഥനത്തിൻ്റെ ആത്യന്തിക ലക്ഷ്യം സ്ക്രിപ്റ്റ് അനാലിസിസ് ആണ്. ദ അൾട്ടിമേറ്റ് ഗോൾ ഓഫ് ട്രാൻസാക്ഷണൽ അനാലിസിസ് is the analysis of scripts, since scripts determines the destiny and identity of the individual. വ്യക്തിയുടെ വിധിയും സ്വത്വവും നിർണ്ണയിക്കുന്നത് സ്ക്രിപ്റ്റാണ്. ഡോക്ടർ ബേൺ പറയുന്നു, എ സ്ക്രിപ്റ്റ് ഈസ് an attempt to repeat in derivative form not a transference reaction or a transference situation, but a transference drama, often split into acts, exactly like the theoretical scripts, which are intuitive, artistic derivatives of these primal dramas of childhood. പ്രാകൃതമായ ശൈശവ നാടകങ്ങൾ അന്തർജ്ഞാനപരമായ ചമൽക്കാരമുള്ള പുനർസൃഷ്ടിയായി ആവർത്തിക്കുവാനുള്ള ശ്രമം. Life is a journey between birth and death. We take birth, we survive, we relate, we grow, we multiply, and ultimately disintegrate. So there is a time span between birth and death, and this time span has to be structured. For this process, the child makes out a plan, a preconscious life plan, which is called the script, by which he structures longer periods of time, means months, years, filling them with rituals, activities, pastimes, games, withdrawal, and intimacy. To survive, he has to go through situations on a daily basis. And for this, he has to relate. His first relation is with his mother, then parents, siblings, family, society, school, office, and ultimately grave. So the sum total of this plan is called his script. A script requires parental directives, a suitable personality development, a childhood decision, a real turn on to a particular method of success or failure, and a convincing attitude or a credible stance, as they say nowadays. രക്ഷകർത്താക്കളുടെ നിർദ്ദേശങ്ങൾ, അനുയോജ്യമായ വ്യക്തിത്വ വികസനം, ഒരു ബാല്യകാല തീരുമാനം, വിജയത്തിലേക്കോ പരാജയത്തിലേക്കോ ഉള്ള ഒരു പ്രത്യേക അഭിനിവേശം, ഇവയെല്ലാം സാധിച്ചെടുക്കാനുള്ള, അതിനെ എല്ലാം ബോധ്യപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന ഉള്ള ഒരു മനോഭാവം. Both theoretical scripts and life scripts are based on a limited number of themes, the best known of which is the Oedipal tragedy. As we stated earlier, a life script starts off in childhood in a primitive form called protocol. Protocol means the household drama which is first played out to an unsatisfactory conclusion in the earliest years of life. Here, the other players are limited to parents and brothers and sisters, or in an institution or foster home, to table mates and those in charge. These all play their roles rather rigidly because every family is an institution and the child does not learn much flexibility from them. As he moves into adolescence, he begins to meet more people. He seeks out those who will play the roles his script requires. They do it because he plays some role their script requires. At this time, he rewrites his script to take account of his new environment. The basic plot remains the same, but the action is a little different. In most cases, this is a rehearsal, something like a small town tryout. Through several such adaptations, he gets into the final form for the biggest production of all, the farewell performance, the final payoff on the script. If it is a good one, it takes place as a farewell dinner. If it is a bad one, he says goodbye from a hospital bed, the door of a prison cell, or psychiatric ward, the gallows, or the morgue. Almost every script has roles for good guys and bad guys, and for winners and losers. What is considered good or bad, and what is a winner or a loser, is something peculiar to each script. But it is very clear that every script has these four characters, sometimes combined in two roles. For example, in a cowboy script, the good guy is a winner and the bad guy is a loser. Good means brave, quick on the draw, honest, and pure. Bad means cowardly, slow on the draw, crooked, and interested in girls. A winner is someone who survives, and a loser is someone who is hanged or gets shot. Same way, in a soap opera, a winner is a girl who gets a man. A loser is a girl who loses a man. In script analysis, winners are called princes or princesses, and losers are called frogs. The object of script analysis is to turn frogs into princes or princesses. In order to do this, the therapist has to find out who the good guys and who the bad guys are in the patient script, and also what kind of a winner he can be. All scripts, whether in the theater or in real life, are essentially answers to the basic question of human encounter. What do you say after you say hello? In day-to-day life, the individual, whom we call Jada, has to relate, and he starts with hello. The next thing he has to say, driven by his script, is wanna fight? If the other person says no, Jada has nothing further to say to him and can only stand dumbly wondering whether to talk about the weather, the COVID-19, or who is going to win in the next Olympics. The easiest way out is pleased to meet you and go on his way. But if the other person says yes, Cheddar answers groovy because now he has found his man and he knows what to say next. Life script scenes have to be set up and motivated ahead of time, just like theoretical scenes. A simple example is running out of gas. This is always set up 2 or 3 days in advance by looking at the gauge, planning to get gas sometimes soon, and then not doing it. It is nearly always an impending event, a pre-planned scene in a loser script. Many winners go through a whole lifetime without ever running dry. Life scripts are based on parental programming, which the child seeks out for 3 reasons. 1. It gives a purpose to life where it might otherwise be wanting. A child does most of the things for the sake of the people, usually his parents. And second, it gives him an acceptable way to structure his time. Acceptable, that is to his parents. And third, people have to be told how to do things. Learning for oneself may be inspiring, but it is not very practical. A man does not become a good pilot by wrecking a few airplanes and learning from his errors. A surgeon has to have a teacher. So parents program their children by passing on to them what they have learned or what they think they have learned. If they are losers, they will pass on their losers programming. And if they are winners, then they will pass on that kind of program. The long-term pattern always has a storyline. While the outcome is determined for better or for worse by parental programming, the child is often free to select his own plot. The first and most archaic version of the script, the Primal Protocol, is conceived in the mind of the child at an age when few people outside his immediate family are real to him. We assume that his parents appear to him as huge figures endowed with magic powers like giant and giantesses, ogres and gorgons of mythology, if only because they are 3 times as tall and 10 times as big as he is. As a child, your life plan was made mostly to satisfy your security need by pleasing significant persons in your life. As you grew up, you identified yourself with one of the significant persons you had met and began to imitate that character unknowingly. Here, he devises his first palimpsest, Punarlikhitam, or rewrite of his script. As your imagination developed and you saw trees walking and animals talking, and as you began to like hearing stories, you fancied yourself to be one of the characters from the stories which fascinated you, and you chose your model for life. With the choice of your script hero, you also fixed implicitly the outline of your life drama. And as you moved out into the large community of neighborhood and school, you adapted your drama to the new situation without changing the essentials. You made compromises in order to stage the drama according to the available actors. However, you always remain the hero of your drama. The whole process took place without your awareness of its implications. And as you grew up, you totally forgot it. The roots of your personality that make what you are have their origin at the very beginning of your life. Sometimes your origin is in the mind of your parents. If they did not expect you and were taken aback when they found your mother pregnant, they might convey that message to you. Few parents say you were not expected. They feel guilty to do so. Their prudent selves tell you in words you are wanted. What they tell you is approved by the society and their own internal parent. But a look here, a word there, an unexpected gesture, and 100 small things in daily life may convey the message you are not wanted. They do not mean to hurt you, but their disappointed child looks through the peepholes of unawareness and murmurs these messages implicitly. The spoken words are called counter injunctions, and the implied ones injunctions. Human destiny shows that by diverse means men come to the same end, and by the same means they come to diverse ends. They carry their scripts and counterscripts around in their heads in the form of parental voices telling them what to do and not to do, and their aspirations in the form of child pictures of how they would like it to be. And among the three of them, they put the show on the road. There they find themselves entangled in a web of other people's scripts. First, their parents, then their spouses, and over all of them, the script of those who govern the places where they live. There are also chemical hazards like infection, diseases, and physical ones, hard objects that human body cannot withstand. The life script is what the person planned to do early childhood, and the life course is what actually happens. The life course is determined by genes, by parental background, and the external circumstance. The forces of human destiny are foursome and fearsome. First, the demonic parental programming, abetted by the inner voice, the ancients called the daemon. Second, the constructive parental programming, aided by the thrust of life called the physis. Third, external forces still called fate. And fourth, independent aspirations, for which the ancient has no name, since for them such were the privileges mainly to gods and kings. And as a resultant of these forces, there are four kinds of life courses which may be mixed and lead to one or another kind of final destiny. One is scripty, two is counterscripty, three is forced, and fourth independent. In psychoanalytic language, the patient is Oedipus, a character who exhibits reactions. Oedipus is something going in the patient's head. In script analysis, Oedipus is an ongoing drama that is actually taking place right now, divided into scenes and acts, with a build-up, a climax, and an ending. It is essential for others to play their parts, and the patient sees that they do. He only knows what to say to people whose scripts match or dovetail with his own. If his script calls for him to kill a king and marry a queen, he has to find a king whose script calls for him to be killed, and a queen whose script calls for her to be stupid enough to marry him. Freud speaks of a repetition compulsion and destiny compulsion. Repetition compulsion describes the pattern where by people endlessly repeat patterns of behavior which were difficult or distressing in earlier life. You must have heard the pleasure principle. The pleasure principle in Freudian psychoanalysis is that the pleasure principle is the instinctive seeking of pleasure and avoiding of pain to satisfy biological and psychological needs. Specifically, the pleasure principle is the driving force guiding the id. And destiny compulsion, he connects losses and repetitive failures with childhood experiences and concludes that those who are subject to destiny, in fact, organize their own fate. Prenatal influences are always there in the formation of script. It is now known that almost every kind of living organism can be trained. Human behavior patterns are determined by rigid reflex genes, primitive imprinting, infant play and imitation, parental training, social taming, and spontaneous invention. Scripts involve all of these. The individual carries out his script because it is planted in his head at an early age by his parents and stays there for the rest of his life, even after their vocal flesh has gone forevermore. It acts like a computer tape or a player piano roll, which brings out the responses in the planned order long after the person who punched the holes has departed the scene. Jaro, meanwhile, sits before the piano, moving his fingers along the keyboard under the illusion that it is he who brings foxy ballad or the stately concerto to its foregone conclusion. The next step in the development of the script is to find a plot with a proper ending, an answer to the question, what happens to someone like me? The child knows because he is so taught whether he is going to be a winner or a loser, how he is supposed to feel about the other people, and how other people are going to treat him. And that is what meant by someone like me. Sooner or later, he hears a story about someone like me, and that tells him what he is headed for. It may be a fairy tale read to him by his mother, or an African story told to him by his grandmother, or a street gang legend he hears on the corner. But wherever he hears it, when he hears it, he knows it, and he says, "That's me." That story will then be his script, and he will spend the rest of his life trying to make it come to pass. Thus, on the basis of early experience with breast or bottle, in the bathroom or outhouse, in the bedroom and kitchen and living room, the child acquires his convictions, makes his decisions, and takes his position. Then, from what he hears and reads, he chooses a prediction and plan. How he will go about being a winner or a loser, on what grounds, and what the payoff will be. And that is the first clear version of his lifelong script. ജീവിത പര്യവസാനത്തിനായി ഒരു ഇതിവൃത്തം, ഒരു പ്ലോട്ട്, ഒരു സ്റ്റോറി ലൈൻ കണ്ടെത്തുന്നു ഈ ചോദ്യത്തിലൂടെ: എന്നെ പോലുള്ള ഒരാൾക്ക് എന്ത് സംഭവിക്കും? കുട്ടിക്കറിയാം, കാരണം അവനെ അങ്ങനെയാണ് പഠിപ്പിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. അവനൊരു വിജയിയാകുമോ പരാജിതനാകുമോ? അവൻ മറ്റുള്ളവരെ എങ്ങനെ അനുഭവപ്പെടണം, മറ്റുള്ളവർ അവനോട് എങ്ങനെ പെരുമാറാൻ പോകുന്നു, എന്നെപ്പോലുള്ള ഒരാൾ, അതാണ് അർത്ഥമാക്കുന്നത്. താമസിയാതെ എന്നെ പോലൊരാളെ കുറിച്ചുള്ള ഒരു കഥ അവൻ കേൾക്കാനിടയാകുന്നു. ആ നിമിഷം അവൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നു അവൻ്റെ പോക്ക് എങ്ങോട്ടാണെന്ന്. അമ്മ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു നാടോടി കഥയാകാം, മുത്തശ്ശി പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു മറുനാടൻ കഥയാവാം, തെരുവ് സംഘത്തിൻ്റെ കഥ വഴിയിൽ കേട്ടതാവാം. പക്ഷേ എവിടെ കേട്ടാലും അത് കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ അവനതറിയാം, അതവനാണ്. ആ കഥയായിരിക്കും അവൻ്റെ തിരക്കഥ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ തലയിലെഴുത്തായി പരിണമിക്കുക. പിന്നീടുള്ള അവൻ്റെ ജീവിതകാലം ഈ കഥ ജീവിച്ച് പൂർത്തിയാക്കാനുള്ള തത്രപ്പാടിലായിരിക്കും. അങ്ങനെ ആദ്യകാലാനുഭവത്തിൻ്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ മുലപ്പാൽ നുണയുമ്പോഴോ കുപ്പിപ്പാൽ നുണയുമ്പോഴോ, കുളിമുറിയിലോ അടുക്കളയിലോ സ്വീകരണമുറിയിലോ കിടപ്പുമുറിയിലോ കുട്ടി അവൻ്റെ ധാരണകളുടെ വെളിച്ചത്തിൽ ദൃഢവിശ്വാസങ്ങൾ നേടുന്നു. അതിൻ്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ തീരുമാനമെടുക്കുന്നു, തൻ്റെ ജീവിത നിലപാട് ഉറപ്പിക്കുന്നു. പിന്നീട് അവൻ കേൾക്കുന്നതും വായിക്കുന്നതിൽ നിന്നും ഒരു പ്രവചനവും പദ്ധതിയും തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കുന്നു. എങ്ങനെ ഒരു വിജയിയോ പരാജിതനോ ആകാം, എന്തടിസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ, എന്തായിരിക്കും അവസാനം. അവൻ്റെ ആജീവനാന്ത സ്ക്രിപ്റ്റിൻ്റെ ആദ്യത്തെ വ്യക്തമായ പതിപ്പാണ് ഇത്.